Welcome to Love Local, the podcast by Jennifer Cornish Design, where we spotlight the incredible independent businesses in Newbury and the surrounding areas. I'm your host, Jen, and each episode I'll be chatting with a local business owner to hear their story, how they started, the challenges they faced, and the creative and marketing decisions that helped them grow. Welcome to Love Local. On this week's episode, we're joined by Aggie from Emmett Bloom. Welcome, Aggie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Jen. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Perfect. Let's dive straight in and start with Emmett Bloom. How did you start your business? Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so my background is sales, marketing and services. And I went through the process with my partner of buying a few properties, and we found it really jarring, just the lack of support that you had and, information. And we realized that actually that week I'd been to take in my Mercedes at the time for a service, and the service there was amazing, right? Took it in there and I thought, I'm getting much better service from just getting my car checked in to what I am getting from currently selling a property. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. Maybe I'm not talking to the right people. I then went away and spoke to a few of my friends and family that had bought and sold properties, and they said, actually, it is the same. It's not just you. It's not just who doesn't know the information. And I thought, there's a gap in the market, because actually people deserve a much better service than that. And I then started thinking about how I would do it. And then eventually I thought this is the right time for me to get into property, because I'd had a retail business and exited that. And I thought, I'm ready. I'm going to get it going. But yeah, it was from that passion of not feeling supported, not having the tools, and knowing that there must be a better way.
So talk me through that then. So your service is the next level up from anyone else. What does Emmett Bloom offer service-wise? I started off by getting into a franchise because I wanted to learn the ropes. But I found that there was a lot of gaps to the types of clients that I wanted to help. And for me, really, it's about helping homeowners who are busy, take that sort of overwhelm out of it, really. And it's about, the first part is getting market ready. And you find that a lot of people think that when they're ready to get on the market, they do it straight away. But actually, it's really about planning ahead. So a lot of my clients I'm talking to now are doing it in spring or even next year, even the year after. And that part that we do now is the most important element. It's about actually understanding what you need to do, what that journey needs to look like for you. And the help that we provide is, okay, what's the activity that needs to go in there for you? So, if I take you guys and your family as an example, it's okay, when will you have the time to really look at the property and everything that it needs and put the work in so that it's at its best, because it's your biggest asset, right? And it's making sure that you make the most of that and it gives you the returns that you rightly deserve. Yeah. And it's hard to think that people probably do start thinking about selling their house years in advance. If they know that that's not their forever house, they know that massive milestone is coming. So how far in advance should people engage with you when they're sort of thinking about doing that?
So I always say, don't be afraid to have the conversation. Even if you're trying to bounce ideas off me and you want to know actually when is a good time to do it? How do I do it? What do I need to consider? Because that conversation really starts around just having a cup of tea, a quick 10-minute chat around what you're thinking. And then we might then say, right, these are the things you need to go away and have that conversations with your partner around, if you've got kids, what are the schools that you want them to be in the next 10 years? And actually then we build a plan to really bring that together. And then we then take that forward into, once you know what the timescales might work for you, because it's really not about the market itself, it's about you and your personal circumstances. So whether you're planning your kids are going into school in 2 years' time, whether they're finishing school and you're downsizing in a year and a half's time, it's really what that activity is what really should support that move.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then talk me through then when you started out. Obviously, you needed a brand, you needed a name, you needed marketing. Talk me through that journey and how you got to where you are now.
It's been the most incredibly challenging and exciting part of it, because for me, I started by thinking about what the client needed. As I said, because I moved from the franchise to setting up as an independent and having Emmett Bloom, which is named after my son, I really wanted that the feel to really support what my clients were expecting. So the way that I always say when people are thinking about it is, how do you want that to feel? So if someone hears my name today, they might go and have a look at my website. They might get a letter and have a look at my website. Then they'll go into my Instagram. Everything really needs to align. So it's really about taking a step back and really thinking about what your target client is. Where do they shop, for example? If someone is shopping in Waitrose versus someone who's shopping in Aldi, their expectations of that service might be a little bit different. So you really have to think about your ideal client, think where they're going to be, what are they seeing, what makes it easy for them to say yes to you. And then once you've got all that information, we then do the build work. And it's really working with people like you who really understand all of that around, okay, what should I be doing in my colour scheme? You know, what is someone expecting to see if they're expecting really great marketing, which is a big part of what we deliver. And then pulling all those things together, but not expecting it to be perfect from day one, but really leaning on professionals like yourself, because actually you could tell me all the things that my website needed to have, from actually, Aggie, you don't have a video, we need to get one, and these are the reasons. Yep. You know, these are the sort of pages and the style. So pulling all of that together, but really starting with the client in mind.
And you went through a bit of a journey with your website, didn't you? Because you started with one platform, and then you kind of had a CRM system for your houses that actually required a completely different platform that you weren't even aware of when you built your website. So I think that's something to really kind of look at the whole bigger picture. And I do say to people when they're starting their website is think about 5 years time and what platforms you might be using.
Exactly.
So we effectively had to rebuild, didn't we? Rebuild on a new platform, just same design, just move the platform over so that you were able to use this CRM system that you knew was good.
And I absolutely say that you live and you learn, because through engaging with you, I then realised that actually I could have built it to the right platforms the first time, but I didn't because I didn't know better. But that isn't my role. My business is, you know, the supporting, selling people with houses and lifestyle around housing. You're the professional with websites, so being able to talk to someone like you really would have saved me that time. And I absolutely loved all the things that I learned around actually you asking me the right questions that I hadn't necessarily thought of on what does the next 5 years need to look like, what are the potential things that you might need to change, and then having all of that together and saying, right, this is the right platform, or these are the things that you should have on your website because of your plans.
Perfect. And then you talked about sort of targeting your ideal client. So who would Emmett Bloom's ideal client be?
So my ideal clients are either busy families or people who are downsizing. And I love working with busy families because they want to be able to do what they love doing on a daily basis. So part of my service is if a client wants to come on board with me, we do a walkthrough where I support them to actually really look at their house and give them a big to-do list. But I also have the right trades and the contacts to be able to support them to get that into market. And I love supporting people end to end. You know, I always say to my clients, my job isn't to list your property, it's to help you move. So it's really the things that happen after the property has sold that is probably far more important, because it's holding that chain together. And everyone who's busy do not have time to be chasing the solicitor on a Monday morning, but I make the time and make sure that my team helps me to do that, because we want to help you to get from A to B. And likewise with the downsizers, they haven't been in the market for a good 10, 15, actually the average that I see is about 25 years.
Wow, okay.
So they don't know the details, the process and everything else. So my job is really to support them to walk through that process. What's step A? Getting the property market ready. And actually, what is good marketing look like for a property? Which is, you know, the importance of my website being a reflection of that, because I deliver great quality marketing, which has the drone photography, it's got the twilight, it's got the brochures, and my website needs to reflect that, so that when I'm talking to them, I can use it as an example on what that can do for a business. And I'm trying to build a brand that really speaks volumes in terms of mirroring what they're trying to do and really showing them an example of how I can market their property.
And if someone came to you that was outside your target market, I think as business owners, we're really quick and it's really easy to accept clients and say yes to people just because it's a new lead coming in. How do you manage that? Because obviously property must be a bit different, because some of the price points are different and things like that. How do you manage that as a business owner?
Yeah, and as a business owner, it is really challenging because sometimes you think, oh, my cash flow could do with that property. Do I say yes? Do I say no? But it's really going back to, I'm a bit woo-woo when it comes to like the universe will provide. Make sure that you put your intentions out there and you speak into what you want, but you also have to say no to the wrong things to make space for the right things. And I always have that conversation with them because I actually think I can educate them to still move forward without me if it's not the right property for me, but also point them into the right person who will be able to support them with that property. I love properties that are more quirky, need more marketing, because not every property will need what I do, and not every seller wants the wraparound that I provide. So I'm really comfortable with meeting them and talking and actually saying, I always say to them, when I meet them, I need to understand if and how I can help you, and vice versa for you, whether I'm the right person for you. And as difficult as it is, I always find that if you say no to the wrong things, the right things will come through. So I always have to keep thinking of that. It's hard in the moment, but it seems to always work out. Once you close that door, something amazing pulls through.
Yeah, and I've definitely experienced that. When a new client comes in that you're not too sure of, it's always better to go with your gut than just accept them for the cash flow.
Yeah,
because 9 times out of 10 it doesn't end up working out. It could be years down the line that it doesn't work out, but you should always go with your gut when it comes in. So what were some of your biggest challenges when you first started out?
Ooh, where do I start? So as I said, I had a different business, and we decided that we wanted to move from Reading a little bit further this way because we thought it would be better for our future and family life. And in the midst of that, I decided to start a business. So it was very much actually, I don't know many people here. And the challenge I had was, what do I do as kind of the first step? And I'm a big believer in coaching, because there are so many people who are running businesses who are doing an amazing job, who have been there, who have the answers. You know, if I ask you anything, marketing, logo, anything related to how I need to look, you can answer it with your eyes closed, right? So why should I spend 10 hours trying to figure it out myself? So the first thing that I did was, look for the people that can help me to get those things started. And for me, it was, okay, community is important, because as a business owner, especially when you're starting out by yourself, it is really lonely. So it was putting myself out there, talking to people and finding out actually what the lay of the land was. And then the second thing that I really struggled with was putting that consistency with the input. I now have something that I call a scorecard, which is really on a weekly basis, what am I doing to drive the business forward? And I really recommend anyone who's starting a business to do that, because in the early days, it feels like you're doing so much, but nothing is happening. But it takes time, and that activity compounds. So really making sure that you do that will help you. And then the other thing is not having a system, not knowing that you need a system, which is how I ended up, saying, we need the rebuild, because I got to a place where I looked at the fundamentals and I thought, if I'm going to grow, I need a really good CRM to find out that it doesn't really match the website that we built. So it's really taking that step back. Those are the 3 things for me: community, coaching, and having a system.
Amazing. So obviously, talking about the system, what would you say one of the biggest design and marketing decisions that you had to make?
So for me, the biggest probably marketing decision was making sure that I built the website to align with what I needed. So as I said, I've got a market ready process. For me, it's really about bespoke marketing, and making that change from the franchise into an independent brand allows me to be able to control all of that aspect and really deliver the great product for my clients, and to be able to showcase it in the way that I want to. And it's been the biggest sort of investment and return, because I know that if you meet someone down the road, if someone hears about you online, a lot of my clients, when I go and see them, they've already been on my Instagram. They say, you spoke about X, Y, and Z, and I saw you've got all these blogs on your website. These are the fundamentals that help me to, they arrive in the room before I do. That's why I like to think about it, and making sure that your branding, your marketing, your website, but also your tone really sounds like you, because with these days there's a lot of GPT stuff that you could use and, you know, chuck things in there and get the most amazing thing. But when you walk in the room, people need to think, oh, that doesn't sound like you. So it's really important that we use these tools, but make sure that we're authentic in who we are and that it supports that.
And you probably have another marketing platform that not many clients have in Rightmove with regard to marketing your properties.
Yeah.
Talk me through that a little bit, that people that maybe want to get into the industry, how does that work compared to your Instagrams and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What's that process like?
A really changing platform, and part of the way that I'm working is making sure that I'm leveraging all the tools and not just relying on that. So the standard estate agent goes in to say, right, I'm going to use Rightmove as my first, and then you might want to get Zooplan on the market. But what you don't realize is the cost to acquire clients from that is really expensive by comparison, but also everyone else is doing the same thing. So what's your point of differentiation? You know, so for me and my clients, I use Rightmove because everyone goes there and they check it. But I also use something called James Edition. And that for me puts my properties on an international level. It's got amazing viewings. You're on there to buy, you know, expensive cars, watches, properties across the globe. And that's where you can find my properties, because I'm not just the standard agent, but I also then support it with my VIP buyer club, which allows me to support people who are looking. And 60% of my properties at the moment actually don't make it into Rightmove because my VIP list is amazing.
Oh, wow.
And I've got people on there that want most of what my clients have to sell. So by the time we get to look at the properties, it's already, they buy before they get to the platform. So for me, I would be saying to anyone who's starting, yes, utilize the platform, but make sure that you're doing all the other things. You know, a lot of the agents now are selling 30% of the properties on Instagram as well.
Wow, okay.
So it's knowing that things are changing. Use Rightmove to start off with, but build the rest of the assets so that you're supporting and be seen by your clients in as many places as you can, and not relying on that, because they change fees, you know, options quite often, and you don't want to be at their mercy because you didn't take the time to build your own assets that you can control.
Okay, that's really interesting, because I'm guessing, I mean, we've been in our house for 13 years, so technology's come on massively. Viewings numbers must have gone down as the technology's evolved. So having that photography, videos and everything, having those platforms, you must engage with people that are, do you still have those people that are not time wasters, but like there's so much content out there now about a house before people even view.
And it's really, for me, about having a really solid questions around when you're bringing clients on and talking to them around whether the property is right for them, making sure that actually you give them as much information beforehand as you can, and making sure that you're not wasting their time and they're not wasting yours. And with my clients, I usually we have a really deep conversations around their requirements, what they're wanting. Some of my clients actually want what we call discreet marketing, which means that they don't want the neighbour to know that they're going on the market because they might be going through a divorce, and I'm still marketing those sort of properties. And then when I'm talking to clients who want to see those, I really have to do even more around what their positions are, what they're looking for, what layout, so that we don't walk into a property that's a beautiful cottage but has all loads of different rooms for a family that are wanting to be able to see where their kids are. It's those sort of little conversations and the nuances that help me to actually understand, is this property for you? And I also have this thing that when I see a property and I meet clients and I've got, let's say 5 people, I always get that feeling of who the property is for. But I also ask them a lot about who they are, what they're wanting, so that if there's 3 people interested and I'm pitching them to the seller, that I pitch who they are. Because for me, the property isn't about the property, it's about the lifestyle. My marketing markets the lifestyle. I also talk to my clients about the lifestyle and what they'll get, you know, apart from the school where they can go for coffee. I have brochures that show them all those little things. And then when I'm talking to them around, you know, how they live their life, I can tell whether it's the right house for them or not. And I always encourage my buyers to make that list of what do I need in the morning? You know, it's that coffee in the light. I need to be able to get into London within 10 minutes. Yes, this property has a great kitchen, but the location isn't necessarily right for you because it doesn't have that. Likewise, if you've got kids who are younger, you need everyone on the same floor. So a townhouse might not be right for you. You might be in a great position, but the way you live is so important, and that's what you need to think about.
So you talked about discreet marketing,
yes,
which is a term I've not really, because normally with my marketing, I'm like out there. Yeah, so talk me a little bit through that. What is discreet marketing? Because obviously I've already mentioned Rightmove before, and everyone loves a little scroll on Rightmove, and then when you see the neighbour's house on the market and you think, oh, what's going on there? Talk me through that, discreet marketing, how that kind of works. Yeah,
so part of what I do is I've been supporting a lot of clients who are going through either a difficult time or situation are changing. And through that, I've met a lot of clients who really want to move, but they always say, oh, we don't want everyone to know. Do you have anyone that can come in and just have a look? Mm-hmm. And through that, I've developed, you know, different ways to be able to support that. As I said, I've got a great buyers list that people can get on. And on that buyers list, if I get a client who might say, right, we're thinking of moving, we're not quite sure, there's all these other things going on in the background. And my question is, would you be open to someone just having a look at your property? That's the first step. Mm. Because I might then meet someone at a coffee who's looking for that exact property they've described, but they haven't got it ready, it's not marketed, in which case we can just pop in, have a look. Is it right? If it is, we can move that conversation forward. The next step is they're actively looking to move, but for whatever reasons, they might have kids who potentially are in school. Maybe they don't want to know that the parents are going through a divorce, or they just have really nosy neighbours. You know, we've got some of those neighbours who are like, what's going on? What did you do? Where did they go? And they're like, actually, we don't want them to know. So they asked me to do what's called a discreet marketing for them. And that, again, is talking through our buyers, or I might send a campaign across where it doesn't give all the details. I can even do something on Rightmove, but my discreet listing on Rightmove, you know, would just say there's a 4-bed market property on the market, and it's in, you know, Wash Common as an example. And that then allows all the people looking for that precise house to talk to me around what they need. I will then share some information off market, and, you know, via email, WhatsApp, we have that conversation, show them if they're interested. They'll go and have a look, and the property sells, which is why a lot of my properties never get to Rightmove.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Yeah. So if you could give someone a bit of advice for starting their own business or starting their own property business, what would that be?
So it would be, make sure that you talk to professionals. You know, do you have an accountant? Because we all don't go into business thinking that we're going to make it big or that we're going to blow up, but sometimes you do, right? So it's making sure that the foundations are as bright as they can be. Not necessarily saying go out and buy Salesforce as a CRM because you're going to need it, but more understand actually what would that need to look like for you to have your data in there, and then have that your data in that systemized process so that it's ready to go should you need to invest in that. But before that, it's really the ideal client. Who are you targeting? Because they say if you target everyone, you target no one, right? And that is absolutely right. That, you know, I get clients coming to me saying, I'm not quite sure if my property will be right for you. However, because I've been really clear around the sort of person that I support, that other people are now thinking, do I fit in that category? So that ideal client of yours, yes, it's going to take time. I think that's the other thing, right? We expect that I'm going to open up my business today and thousands of clients will be rolling in next week. And when it doesn't happen, you're like, oh, what did I do? Did I do it wrong? And sometimes it's just a time element. Yeah. So making sure that you're consistent, you understand what you need to put in on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. And then the systems that need to support that. But then also the professionals. If you know that you're targeting a high-end client, you need to be talking to Jen around actually what do they want? Because your job is not marketing. Your job is marketing. Yeah. You understand the client. You understand what they expect, how things need to feel, what things need to look like. So leveraging actual professionals in those little things will help you to go faster than you need to. We can all spend hours and hours researching on YouTube, what does a logo do, but actually if you put that time into finding clients that will pay you the money, you will more than make up for the money that you need to pay a professional to build that for you. So
that is great
advice. Tips.
So thank you so much, Aggie, for coming on the Love Local podcast. If people want to find out more about Emmett Bloom, your Instagram handle is?
My Instagram handle is at Emmett Bloom Estates.
And your website?
My website is Emmett Bloom. And I've also got a market ready guide, which I'm more than happy to share to anyone. If they get in touch and just ask for it, I can share that with them and it will get them started as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Jen.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Love Local. If you're a small business owner in Newbury or the surrounding area and you've got a story to tell, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to follow, leave a review, and share it with someone who'd love it too. Thanks again for listening. I'm Jen, and I'll see you again on the next episode of Love Local.